to Moments with Breadhead. Today we're going to make latkes. For those of you who don't know what a latke is, it's a fried potato that's been shaved in advance, mixed with eggs, breadcrumbs, spices, and a whole bunch of other things depending on where you're from and what you like to put in it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with 4 to 5 medium russet potatoes, or any potato that's good for baking, because baking potatoes have a lot of starch in them and they help to adhere the potatoes. I've peeled the potatoes and actually the rest of them are in this bowl, but I'm just going to show you that I peeled the potato and I'm going to take a grater and I'm just going to grate. If you do hear noises during the filming, it's because we're doing our weekly Gaia's gift, and we're actually a live kitchen today, so there'll be lots of participation from everyone. So I'm going to take the potato and I'm just going to grate. Just be careful of your knuckles, because graters have a tendency of biting them. Okay, so we grated these, and as you can see, they have a lot of natural water in them. Normally, if you had a cheese bag or an almond bag or nut bag, you could just squeeze these out in the bag and collect the starch and add it into the bowl. But I don't have one today, and so I'm using my hands, which is perfectly fine as well. We just want to empty as much liquid as possible from the potatoes so they're starchy but not liquidy. So I'm going to add these in, and I'll just do these two. And then we'll get into mixing it. Oh, we don't want the big pieces. You can leave those out. So now we have our potatoes. If you leave your potatoes on the counter for a long time, they will change color. Normally, if you're cutting potatoes to boil, you don't have to do this. Or if you're cutting potatoes to fry later, what I would do is I would, not with the grated ones, but if you have potatoes in chunks, I would soak them in water so they don't change color and they keep their starch. But as of now, we're ready to go on to the next phase. I'll just clean up the area a little bit. Put that in the trash bowl and set it aside. So, we'll use about, I'm just going off of what I feel like I should use, but I'll use about a teaspoon of kosher salt. I love kosher salt because it's a milder flavor than most other salts. And it cooks a little, it releases a softer flavor in your food. This is 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. And then, let's see, I have, that's Francisco, if you can see him. We're gonna mix that up. And then I don't have any onions today, but I do have some onion powder, so I'm gonna use that. Just a little bit. I'm sort of just adding what I feel like I'd like. So again, your tastes are yours. Do it how you want it, and then I'll add a little bit of pepper. So I like it pretty spicy. And then we'll just mix it up. And then I'm gonna add an egg. You can mix that before or after, it doesn't matter. You just wanna mix it all in. You can get your hands in there too. I think I will, just to save a little time. Remember, anything that you're frying, you always want to start cooking with clean hands. That's paramount. But anything that you're frying or cooking in the oven, you don't need to be worried about using your hands, because you will burn off anything that's left over, but you should have clean hands. Okay, so now that we added the egg, it's a pretty soft consistency again, and it's ready to form into little potato pancakes. So in order to save time, I've made a few ahead of time, but here we go. We're gonna take a little piece of the potato mixture, and we're just going to make a little pancake in our hands.
Oh no, you're fine, Karen.
And we'll set it on the plate. I've already made 5 of them, and then we're gonna bring it over to fry. Okay, so we have our latkes, they're at the stove. I'm just gonna pull this off, and I'm gonna put paper towels on the plate to save it. I have a spatula, and then we're going to add the latkes into the oil. The oil should be hot enough. As soon as I add these in, I'm going to turn it down, but the oil should be hot enough for the latkes to start frying immediately. I think we can only fit 5 in there, so I'll put this one aside, and I'll turn it down just a little bit. Then we'll just fry these guys up, and then we'll flip them over, and we'll put them on a grease, or well, a paper-lined plate to catch the grease, and then we'll be ready to serve. So we'll just give it a little time. The starch and the egg work together to keep these in place in the pan, but if you wanted to, you could freeze these in advance, and it's way easier to fry frozen things because it doesn't really go anywhere. By the time it's golden brown, there's like no chance of it separating in the pan. Sometimes I like that better, especially when I'm making the bean cakes. I like using the frozen ones better because they just blend their state a little better. But these are looking good already. I'm gonna flip it over. That one looks pretty good. I could have waited, so it's up to you to see how long you want to do it. I don't know if you can see this, but in here, the edges are already cooking on the other side, and the middle is a little uncooked. So when you flip it over, what happens is that the middle is still not brown. But I think now that I've been talking, this does happen pretty quickly. So the frying process is one of those things that like you're talking and suddenly it's burning. I think since I've been talking, they've been cooking just the right amount. As with all things involving hot oil, you want to be careful that not only do you flip, if you can, away from you, but that you're just careful in general that, you know, your paper towels aren't too close to the stove, that things don't catch on fire, that you don't get grease burns. It's a whole process, and it just takes a little more care than just regular cooking on the stove because the oil is extremely hot and it is terrible to get burned. So these are almost done. And once they're out of the stove, we'll just cover them with a little salt. We'll bring them over and we'll plate them with a little sour cream. Traditional latkes are also eaten with applesauce, which is delicious. It sounds really weird, but I like to eat applesauce and sour cream on my latkes. And today we just have sour cream, but it'll be just as good. Alright, so these are looking good. Okay, I'm going to flip them over one more time. I feel like the other side looks way better than this side. And I'll just keep turning them. These are looking tasty. This one is probably done. The pot, okay. This one I feel like is done. I'm going to place it here on the towel, just like you would bacon. Off the stove since our burners are always on, and bring this over. Okay, so we have our plate of latkes. We're just going to put them on the plate so you guys can eat them. We'll take one. Maybe we'll take two. And then we'll just take a little, you can add the cream, you can put it right like this. I think actually that's what I'll do. I'll add a little bit of salt. And we are ready to go. I hope you enjoyed this moment with Breadhead, and I hope you enjoy homemade latkes.